Well, hello everyone from Arb. Now I figure you're all pretty bored, sat at home, especially on a day like today when you can't go out and get some fresh air and some exercise. So the lovely Miriam Borg has asked me to show you how I make paracord bracelets. Now, you're not going to need much to do this. A little bit of paracord, we'll come on to that in a minute, and some scissors, which if you're of a certain age, you better get mum and dad to help you with. And to give you an example of what you end up with, I'm going to go over here to one I prepared earlier. This is what you end up with. This one's been done with a little badge on for Remembrance Sunday. But it's a little paracord bracelet that you can adjust and pop on your wrist. So, let's get started. You're going to need about 2 meters or so of paracord. Now, if you haven't got any paracord, I've got a few bits left over here, and I'm going to drop them off at the council, so we'll figure out a way you can contact them and maybe get hold of some. And there's various different colours. I'm sure the boys are going to want the camouflage one, but there's rainbow and all sorts of stuff. So 2 meters of paracord bracelet, and we're going to trim up the ends so that they don't fray and it makes it easier to work with. Now, to trim up the end, what you need to do is, you see the little strands on the inside here. You want to pull these out just a little bit, like that. Get your scissors, trim off those bits there, like that. Get that out of the way. And then if you pull that outer coating up a little bit, you'll notice that you end up with just the outside piece, okay? Now, here's a candle. It's one of Lindsay's scented candles, and she's going to be very mad at me for using it, I can tell you that. But you can have a lighter. Again, get your parents to help you with this. And all you need to do, and there's a couple of things going to be happening here at the same time. My fingers, I'm going to lick them so I don't burn myself. You want to run that just gently around the flame till it starts to melt, like this. Yeah, and then with your fingers, just do that. Yeah, I didn't wet them enough. And what that'll do is it'll stop it fraying, and it'll also make it easier later on to pop it through the little holes. So we'll do this other end. Again, just run it round the flame. You don't need to put it in the flame, just on the edge of the flame. You'll see it start to melt. Lick your fingers and just give it a little pull like that. Okay? Turn that out. Okay, so now we get on to making the bracelet. As I say, you've got 2 meters of paracord bracelet, and basically what you want to do is you want to get the 2 ends together at this end, like this, go all the way up to that end like that. So now you're in the halfway spot. This is your halfway point, okay? Now you need to know how big you want to make the bracelet. Now, 2 meters probably should be enough. If you've got slightly bigger hands or wrists, then you might need a little bit more, maybe 2.2, 2.3 meters, but not a great deal more. And one good way to do this is, if you get let me get rid of that, to figure out how long it needs to be, if you get it onto your wrist like this, where it's going to stand, and just wrap it round, I need another pair of hands here, wrap it round so you can see where it is. So that's about there, okay? It's going to be about there. Okay? So that's going to be how big it is on your wrist. Now you can just come out a little bit further, because you're actually going to have a little bit of play in this at the end, as you'll see. So this is now going to be the length of your bracelet. Okay, so what we need to do now is we just lay it here. Don't lose that mark. Don't lose your mark where you were. That's going to be important. Let's get rid of them scissors. Put it down like this. Keep your finger on there. where your mark is, because that's your bracelet. And then you get the two sides and bring them like this. The two ends, bring them round like this. I'll move this out of the way. That's my fancy remote control for the old, camera. So, this is where we start from. Okay, now I've actually gone ahead and just shortened this a little bit so that you can see how we make it. So that's the length of your bracelet. It's going to have a little bit more because you're going to have ends which you can adjust and tighten on your wrist. And remember, it needs to get round this part of your hand as well, which is obviously wider than your wrist, okay? So we take the left hand strand and you lay it across there, like that. Then you take the right hand strand and you go over the top of that one you just put across here, underneath here, both of them, yeah, and then you bring it up through the loop on that other side, okay? And what we do now is we just tighten this up. Now normally when we get into this, you'll see that we're going to tighten it really tight, okay? But in the first one, the best thing to do, because you'll see when we finish it, is your ends, these ends are going to come back through these top bits here, which is what's going to let you adjust it. So you want it tight, but not too tight, because you need to get those ends back through there, okay? And if it doesn't work out the first time, well, it's no big deal, you've got plenty of time, you can do it again. So that's your first knot at the top. What you do now is you get the one on the right hand side, the one that went over the top of these two strands, and you bring it back over. And you're always going to be working with the strand, this length of paracord here, that's gone over the top. So you bring it back over, then you bring it back over, then you bring it back over. So let's get this one. We bring that over there, yeah. The left hand one goes over the top of that strand, under these two, under those two, and back up through this one. And then we pull it tight, like that. And when you're pulling it tight, just pull down on these, on this center piece as well. Okay, is that good? Okay, so now we're on the left hand side, because it's come over from right to left. We take the left hand one, we pop that over the two, put it over that strand, go under the two with the other side there, and then up through the loop you've made and tighten it up again. Yeah, just give that a little pull and there we go. Okay, now we're on the right hand side because it's gone over, so we bring that back over again. This strand on the left goes over that one, under these two, and up through your loop. So we're going to do that all the way down, pulling it tight, giving that a little tug. So I'm just going to run through this now. You can always go back and just look at the first two or three I did there. But basically the loop goes over this side, the opposite side comes over the one you just run across the top, underneath, and then up through the loop. When we get to the end, there's a little trick we'll do to because what you don't want when you finish this is all this running off the end. So what we're going to do, a little trick when we get to the end here to tie that off. So let's just run through that. I might be able to use my video editor and speed this bit up. I doubt it though. So what I'm going to do now is I've shown you two or three there. I'm going to stop the video and just run on till the end. But remember, we go in over the top of those two. The one on the other side is going to come over the strand we've just laid across. It's going to go under the two and then up through the loop. Okay, all the way down. Pull it nice and tight, pull the bottom bit down there, and I'll see you when I get to the end. Okay, I'm back. While you were doing that, I went and had a nice cup of tea, and I've got company now. Daisy's come over to see what I'm up to. Okay, so I've stopped here just towards the end, because what you want to try and do now is you want to try and get this to go as far as you can down this little loop, but also make sure you've still got room to bring these ends back up through it. Okay, so I think we can probably get at least one more on here. So it gets a bit fiddly towards the end, but you'll be able to see that and work it out. Again, over the top of those two, over that one, then under those two, up through the loop, pull it tight. Gets a bit fiddly, but you'll get there. Okay, so I think that's probably about right. Now, you could stop at this point if you didn't want a bracelet. And if you look at what we've got here, if you had one of those rings that you get on key rings, yeah, you could have yourself a nice key ring. We'll maybe come back to that on another day. Right, now, what we want to do is tie this off, because we don't want all this coming undone and slipping off where that loop is. So the last one you finish with that goes over, okay, that's the one you want first. Now, on your bracelet, it could be on this side, over here. Mine is on this side, but it doesn't matter. It could be either side. What we're going to do is we're going to take the one that you ended up with that went over the loop, yeah? And we're going to bring that back, and we're going to go up or down. We're going to go up through that hole there. Now, you might need some help here. You need to make that hole a little bit, just open it up a little with a screwdriver. You just pull that, give it a little bit of a wiggle. You can normally open it up enough. And we're going to go up through that hole with this one. And then we're going to leave ourselves a little loop here. And the other side, again, on my one, it's on the right, but on your one, it could be on the left. Doesn't make any difference. We're going to put that one down through that loop. Where you just come up through there, you're going to go down with this one. This is where it gets a bit fiddly. Now, I've actually got some special needles for this, but I wanted to do it this way to show you that you can do it. And you may have to poke it through with your screwdriver, yeah, to get that through that hole. But it'll go through eventually. Just don't stab yourself. As I say, get a grown-up to do it. Let them stab themselves, yeah? It's getting there. There we go. Right. Okay, got that there. All right. So now you can actually see you've got yourself a little figure of 8 going on there. So this one, the one that came up through the hole, the first one, pop that up through that loop there that you just formed with this one. And this one, bring that up through that loop. So you've gone, when you started on this, where I started on this side, I went around and I came up through the loop, yeah. And then with this side, I came down through the loop, and I've got the little figure of 8. And what I want to do is just pull that tight now, so that you can see that there. That one's going up through there. This one's going down through that loop. Sorry, yeah, like that. I can't zoom that in, but I'll show you as best I can. There you go. Yep. And then we're going to pull that tight. Just pull it tight. Fiddle it a bit so that it all looks nice and even. Okay. Now that will not come undone unless you want it to come undone, because this is a survival bracelet, of course. And you've got 2 meters of paracord here. So, I don't know, if you're ever lost in the jungle somewhere, you could unpick this and maybe use it for something. I mean, I don't know what. I've never been lost in the jungle. You could maybe make a trap for something. Or, I don't know. Fix your trousers. Hold your trousers up. Make a belt out of it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring these 2 ends are going to come back to form your bracelet, and they're going to go back through those loops at the top that we had. Again, this is going to be quite fiddly. And again, you're going to need a screwdriver, maybe a knitting needle if your mum's got, so I was going to say your mum and dad. I don't think your dad's got knitting needles. Well, he might have. No reason why he wouldn't have knitting needles. So you're going to make yourself a little hole here, push that through into the loop, just to open it up a little bit, yeah, like we did at the bottom. We get this one, and we pop that through there, okay, like that. Do the same on this side. Now this one, as you'll see, this loop here is a bit tighter than that one. So I'm going to have to gently put the screwdriver in. Just try not to cut it, or nick it. Just pop it through, it'll go through eventually. Just less haste, more speed. Just give that a little bit of a wiggle, and there's a nice little gap there, you see? So we're going to pop that through there, like that. And now, we've got ourselves a bracelet. It's a very small bracelet, but it's for demonstration purposes, or for a very small person. Okay. Now, when you've got it like this, and obviously your bracelet will be a bit bigger than that, to figure out, because what we're going to do now is we're going to put a knot on here, a little loop knot on here, okay? So what you want to do is you want to work out, where do I need that knot? So I can get it over my hand and then tighten it on my wrist. So, here's what I would suggest. Put it over your wrist like this. Yeah. Now, if you tighten that up, like this, okay, that's fine, but you're not going to get it over your hand. So, just gently move it out, and it will stretch a little bit when you wear it. Just bring that over there to the biggest part of your hand. Okay, this bit here, the widest part of your hand. Yeah? Like that, there. So now you know you can get it over that part. And just mark it there. Just hold it, those two tag ends. Yeah? Hold those two tag ends so you know where you want your knot to be. Okay? Then pop it off your wrist. And then we can work on putting the loop knot in there. Okay? Okay, so how are we going to tie this loop knot? So put your bracelet like that, with the two ends, two tags out this way. You're going to fold it back round, and I'm going to leave this one a bit further out so you can see what I'm doing. What you want to be doing is you want this, where this knot is here, to be where you measured on your hand. Remember? Okay, so we're going to fold this over like this, so you end up with two loops like that. Okay? And then we're going to take one tag, we're going to lay it over all of them, like that. Yeah? We're going to come back round that loop, like that. And the other loop, we're going to go up through the other loop. So we're going right round, right over the top. It's a bit fiddly. You've got your two loops, and I've got the tag end on this side. I've laid it across the front of all of those strands. I'm going to go round the back and then up through that loop on that side. And just push that a little bit. Try and hold the strands. Push that in like that. Okay, for now, that'll do. And then this side, this tag over here, because that tag side went over, this one's going to go under, around the back, over the top, and down through that loop. Yeah? And then we tighten it. So I'll show you that again. So, we sit it out like this. We're going to put that and that. So we've got those two loops like this, okay? And this here, that's where you want the length of your bracelet to be so it fits over your hand, okay? Okay. So we're going to take this loop, this tag from this loop, over the top of all of those, around the back, and then up through that loop there. Okay, and then we're going to just tighten that off a little bit. And then this one, we're going to take around the back, over the top, and then down through the other loop that you had. Okay, and then all you need to do there is just tighten these up, just cinch them up yourself, bit by bit, remembering you want it where you marked it, because that's the length of, that's your wrist. And then when you get to that point there, just do that, like that. Pull that a bit, pull that a bit, push that again, hold those two between your thumb and your forefinger and just push that up like that. Right, there you go. Yeah. And there's your bracelet. Like that. Now, these two ends here, if you want to, I don't think this will fit over my hand, it's a bit too small. No, it's a bit small, that. But if you want to, you could be like some surfer dude down in Australia and leave it dangling, if you like. Alternatively, you can cut these off, and I'll show you what we do then. We're going to cut these ends off here, and then we're going to just melt them on. Okay? So, we're going to need scissors. Again, maybe get a grown-up to help you. And you want to cut that. Hopefully you can see that all right. You just only want about 2 or 3 millimeters, if that. Not a lot. Just chop that off there. Do them one at a time. That's what I do. We're going to go over here now. And we're going to use up a bit more of Lindsay's scented candle. Again, don't do this on your own. You can use a lighter if you've got one. But again, get a parent to help you. Now, we're going to use a screwdriver here. The flat part of a screwdriver. You could use, well, I wouldn't suggest using a knife because it's probably your mum's best kitchen knife. And what you want to do is you're going to get this end here that you've just cut off and just put it gently close to the flame there. I'm going to lean in and you'll see it starts to melt. Don't put it in the flame, don't put it in the wax, just let it melt back slowly, like that. Very, very slowly. Yeah, and then when it's almost on the knot, just get your screwdriver and push it. Just do that to it, yeah? And you end up with that there, okay? And then we do the same thing with the other one. We just chop it off pretty close, like that. Bring it over to the flame, gently on the edge of the flame, about 5 millimeters away. You don't need to get right into it. Keep it out of the wax, you'll make a mess. And once it gets close to that knot, just push it down, push the melted bit down with your screwdriver. And there you go. One paracord bracelet. Blow that out, don't want to start a fire, and then we'll tidy up everything afterwards. Okay, now if anybody else wants some ideas about what else they might be able to make with paracord, give me a shout. I'll do a video on another day for the key ring, but fundamentally it's going to be the same thing. We just don't have the tags, and in the loop at the end we put a little ring for keys. And again, I've got some of those, so you can pop those down to the council and we'll figure out a way of getting them out to you. Okay, well, I hope that was worthwhile and it gives you something to do while you're stuck indoors. And remember, stay indoors, stay safe, don't get ill, save lives. Okay, bye-bye.